Hello my people, welcome to the channel. As always, I bring you greetings from afar. Today's story is going to make you laugh out of your teeth. It is so hilarious, so stick to this video till the end. And don't forget to like this video for more updates. The story is a humble African lady humiliated at work. Then her billionaire husband walked in and sacked everyone. Let's get right into it. In a small village in Africa, there was a woman who worked as a house help for a rich family. She had worked for this family for many years. She wakes up very early to prepare breakfast for her boss and his children. She does all the household chores. She takes care of the children and does all the shopping for the family. She is very good at what she does. The woman is so dedicated to her job that if you give her $100, she will use $98 to buy foodstuff for the family and keep the remaining $2 for herself. Now, this woman is not just an ordinary person. She is married to one of the richest men in the village. The man is so rich that he doesn't even know how much money he has in his bank account. He lives a simple life. You wouldn't even know he is rich if you meet him on the street, but this woman's boss thinks otherwise. He treats her anyhow. He would come home drunk and harass her. Sometimes he asks her for money, but she always tells him that she doesn't have any. One day the boss called her into his office and fired her. This was unexpected because she had never been late or absent from work. She had always made sure that everything was perfect for her boss and his family. When she asked him why, he told her that he didn't like her face again and that she should leave immediately. She packed her things and left. She went back to her village and stayed with her family. One evening, her husband came to visit her. He had traveled for business and was now back home. He was happy to see his wife and asked her how she was doing. She told him about what had happened and showed him the sack they had thrown her. The husband was furious. He couldn't believe that someone could treat his wife so badly. He took the sack and went back to the city with his wife. When they got to the boss's house, the husband knocked on the door. The boss opened the door and was shocked to see his former employee standing in front of him with her husband. The boss tried to pretend that he didn't know them, but the damage had already been done. The husband introduced himself and explained to the boss that he was the husband of the woman he had fired. He said he was disappointed to hear how his wife had been treated, and he wanted an explanation. The boss stammered and tried to explain, but the husband wasn't having any of it. He fired the boss on the spot and told him to pack his things and leave immediately. The boss was shocked. He couldn't believe that the man was actually the husband of his former employee. He thought he was just some village bumpkin who didn't know his way around town. But he was wrong. The man was actually a billionaire, and he had no problem firing his useless assistant. The man then turned to the woman and asked her if there was anything she wanted. She said she didn't want anything and thanked her husband for standing up for her. They all left and went back to the village. From that day on, the woman was treated like a queen in her village. She was no longer the poor house help who was looked down upon by everyone. She was now a billionaire's wife, and she was proud of it. This is a story of a humble African lady who was humiliated at work, but was later rescued by her billionaire husband. It is a story of love, respect, and dignity. The woman was loved and respected by her husband, and she never gave up hope. Even when she was going through tough times, she knew that her husband would come to her rescue. Anedi, if you are going through tough times right now, don't worry. Just know that your Prince Charming is on the way. He is coming to save you from all your problems. Just have faith in God and trust the process. Everything will be all right in the end. If it's not all right, it's not the end. I'm sure you enjoyed this one. Now let's move to the next one. Our next story is the African chief and the talking parrot. Once upon a time in Africa, there was a chief who ruled over his people with an iron fist. He was feared by all who lived in his kingdom, both great and small. The chief had a pet parrot that could talk and mimic human voices perfectly. The parrot was very intelligent and was known throughout the kingdom for its wit and intelligence. One day, the chief decided to travel to a neighboring kingdom on an official visit. Before he left, ordered his men to take good care of his parrot and make sure it didn't leave the palace. The chief also warned his men not to feed the parrot with the special food he had prepared for it. The parrot was to be fed only on the journey and not before or after. As soon as the chief and his entourage were out of sight, the parrot began to plot. It wanted to eat the special food that the chief had prepared for it. The parrot managed to convince the guards to give it some of the special food. It ate all the food and felt very sick afterwards. The parrot knew that if the chief found out what it had done, it would be in trouble. So it devised a plan. It pretended to be very sick and weak and refused to eat or drink anything. When the chief returned to the palace, he was informed that the parrot was very sick. He rushed to the parrot's cage and was shocked to see that it was indeed very weak and sick. The chief was worried because he loved his parrot very much, and he didn't want it to die. He called his royal physician and ordered him to do everything possible to save the parrot's life. The physician examined the parrot and was unable to diagnose what was wrong with it. He tried all the medicines in his arsenal, but nothing seemed to work. The parrot was so weak that it couldn't even speak or move its wings. It lay in its cage, listlessly, barely clinging to life. The chief was heartbroken. He couldn't bear to see his beloved parrot in such a state. He spent all his time by the parrot's cage, talking to it and trying to cheer it up. Meanwhile, the parrot was pretending to be very sick. It had convinced the chief and his men that it was genuinely ill. The chief was so distraught that he offered the parrot a reward of 10,000 gold coins if anyone could cure it. This reward was unprecedented in the history of the kingdom. No one had ever received such a large sum of money for curing a sick animal. As days turned into weeks, the parrot's condition continued to deteriorate. It became too weak to even stand up. The chief was devastated. He had lost all hope of saving his parrot. He sat by the cage, stroking the parrot's feathers and whispering words of comfort to it. Suddenly, the parrot spoke in a weak voice. "My lord," it said, "I am sorry for deceiving you. I am not really sick. I pretended to be sick so that I could eat the special food you had prepared for me. I am sorry for tricking you." The chief was shocked. He couldn't believe what he was hearing. The parrot was apologizing to him for deceiving him. "Why did you lie to me?" the chief asked in a trembling voice. "I'm sorry, my lord," the parrot replied. "I couldn't resist eating the special food." "I am sorry." The chief was furious. He had been tricked by his own pet parrot. He had lavished love and care on the parrot, and this was how it repaid him. "Get out of my sight!" the chief roared. "You are no longer welcome here." The parrot was scared. It realized that it had made a big mistake. It tried to apologize, but the chief would have none of it. He threw the parrot out of the palace, and it fled into the forest. The chief was angry, but he soon realized that he had made a mistake. He shouldn't have punished the parrot so severely. After all, it was just a bird. The chief sent his men to look for the parrot, but it was nowhere to be found. The chief was heartbroken. He missed his pet parrot and he regretted punishing it so severely. He decided to go to the forest himself and look for the parrot. He walked for hours, but the parrot was nowhere to be found. Just when he was about to give up hope, he heard a familiar voice. "My lord, I am sorry for deceiving you. I am not really sick. I pretended to be sick so that I could eat the special food you had prepared for me. I am sorry for tricking you." The chief followed the sound and found the parrot in a tree. It was talking to a group of birds. The chief was overjoyed. He climbed up the tree and hugged the parrot. "I am sorry I punished you so severely," he said. "I know you wouldn't mean to deceive me, and I forgive you." The parrot was grateful for the chief's forgiveness. It promised to never deceive him again. From that day on, the chief and his parrot became even closer than before. The parrot lived in the palace and was the chief's constant companion. The chief also kept his promise and gave the parrot the 10,000 gold coins as a reward. So, my people, that brings us to the end of today's stories. Please, before you leave, don't forget to like this video, and also share your views in the comment section below. Thanks for staying to the end. See you next time. Bye.